Hello, welcome to this tech video tutorial about Google Forms. My name is Amber Williams, and I am a recent graduate from the Single Subject Credential program at Cal Poly. First, I'd like to share an overview of Google Forms. Google Forms is an online cloud-based survey system. As a Google product, it syncs seamlessly with integration into Google Drive and Google Classroom, but can be used in conjunction with other platforms as well. Google Forms is a highly customizable survey system with options to customize the color palette, embed images and videos directly into the form, and even create multiple pathways through a form in the event that different follow-up questions must be asked based on prior answers. It is easy to make an elegant form that suits your specific needs. Google Forms can seamlessly export response data into Google Sheets for easy review of responses, including timestamps of when each response was submitted. Specific to education, Google Forms includes the option to make any form into a graded quiz with completely customizable point values and answer keys, as well as several different question types to suit your needs. Multiple choice questions can be scored automatically, providing students with instant feedback and saving you valuable time grading. Forms also provide a breakdown of student responses for each question and even highlights the most missed questions to highlight potential points of confusion. Forms allows you to control whether or not students will be able to see their scores and/or the correct answers upon submitting. Enable students to see this information for instant feedback, or disable it until all students have completed the assignment for improved authenticity of scores by preventing the answer key from being shared prematurely. You can even opt to release scores only to select individuals or easily share it with the whole class at once. To get started with Google Forms, navigate to google.com/forms/about or open your Google Drive, click on New, More, and then Google Forms. Once your new Google form has loaded, you can customize the look of your form by clicking on the Customize Theme button. Here, you can select from several pre-existing theme color palettes or use the color wheel for even more options. You can add a header to the top of the form for even more visual appeal. Draft your questions by clicking Add Question and selecting question type from the drop-down menu. Now, to convert this form into a quiz, click on Settings, Quizzes, make this a quiz. Here, you will find the options to determine what students will see upon submitting their quiz, missed questions, correct answers, and point values, and when they will be able to see their score, immediately or later. Once you have made your form a quiz, you will be able to create answer keys and set point values for each question. Any multiple choice style question will be graded automatically, and short answer questions can be pre-populated with correct answers. All question types can be graded manually later, ensuring that answers marked incorrect due to spelling errors or alternative phrasings can still receive credit at your discretion. Additionally, each question has the option to provide answer feedback for both correct and incorrect responses. Students will be able to see this feedback when their score is released to them. This is a great way to provide qualitative feedback to students quickly by providing any reminders or clarifications relevant to each question. Prior to sharing your finished form, you can always double-check that everything looks the way you want it to by clicking the Preview button at the top. This preview will show you exactly how the form will appear to your students. When you are happy with your result, send the form to your students by clicking Send. This will allow you to send it to them by emailing them an invitation, pasting the link to your Google Classroom, or embedding the form into your class website directly. You can gain insight into your students' performance by looking at the Responses tab. Here, you can view analytics as a summary of all responses, or broken down by either each question or by each student. Finally, export your data into a Google Sheets for further analysis by clicking the green Create Spreadsheet button in the right upper corner. Here, you can see every response, what answers were provided for each question, the total score, as well as the timestamp of when the form was submitted. Now, I'd like to share a quick example using Google Forms in the classroom. While many teachers solely use Google Forms for assessments, Forms provides a great deal of versatility for other classroom activities as well. In my ninth grade science classroom, I had a diverse population of students and very little time to get to know them prior to my school's move to online learning in the spring of 2020. Google Forms allowed me to create a tool to simultaneously review course content with my students, as well as get to know them each as individuals. I implemented regular check-in forms, assigned once or twice a week, that had two primary functions. The first was that I would write 2 to 4 key questions that would provide insight into my students' understanding of the concepts covered in class that week. Rather than asking straightforward recall questions, this was a low-stakes opportunity for my students to practice applying concepts to novel situations, hypothesizing about proposed scenarios, or describing an idea in their own words. This then allowed me to guide my instruction moving forward based on their understanding. The second function of this form was that it gave my students the opportunity to routinely check in with me about the classwork, about online learning in general, and even just about their hobbies and interests. I intentionally did not require answers to this latter half of each form, such that students only needed to fill it out if they felt comfortable sharing with me. This provided valuable insight into difficulties my students were experiencing, as well as their current stress levels. And it also provided fun, lighthearted conversation points I could use with each student in the future. By being able to respond to my students' needs as indicated by these forms, as well as use their interests to design future lessons, I was able to build a greater sense of class community, even in an online format. Here, we can see the student's view on one such form. The first section, as discussed, includes open-ended concept review questions, all of which require an answer for the form to be submitted, as indicated by this red asterisk. After completing this first page, however, the student then sees the second half of the questions, none of which are required for submission, thereby providing students with the agency to determine what they will or will not share depending on personal comfort. Thank you for learning about Google Forms. I hope you've enjoyed this technology video tutorial from the School of Education at Cal Poly.